Hey gang, what's going on? And welcome to Talking Vegas All Day with KA. I'm your host KA, and on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the history of the Golden Nugget. Located on Freemont Street, this is such a fascinating property and a great journey into one of the iconic properties in Las Vegas. With ties to the Mafia and Steve Wynn owning it for a time period, there is plenty to digest on today's episode, so make sure to stay tuned. Also, shout out to everyone who voted for this episode on Twitter. I had posted asking which property people would like me to cover next, and this barely beat out the Riviera in a very close vote. Again, thanks for everyone voting, and just for those who voted for the Riviera, I will be covering it real soon. So before we get started, my question of the day: which is your favorite vintage Las Vegas hotel and casino that is still around today? Leave a comment and let me know. It might help me plan a future episode like today's. And make sure to hit that like button. And if you like the show, please leave a comment, or even better, click the subscribe button. We're at 97 subscriptions, so 3 more to 100. And if you want to interact with me on social media, I'm at Twitter at Vegas_KA and on Instagram and Facebook at Talking Vegas All Day with KA. Also, the show is available in podcast form on Apple and Spotify platforms as well. And with that, let's get started on today's episode of Talking Vegas All Day with me, KA.
Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's go tonight.
Right now.
Let's go to Vegas. We'll stay up all night. Let's go to Vegas.
So gang, let's travel back in time to 1946. Guy Mcafee has just spent around $1 million on building the Golden Nugget, which opens on August 30th of that year. Located on Freemont Street in downtown Las Vegas, at the time, it's the largest casino in town at time of completion. Now, before we move on any further into this deep dive, who exactly is Guy Mcafee? Few in Las Vegas knew or even cared about how Guy Mcafee earned his ways to Las Vegas from Los Angeles. He was born in Kansas in 1888 and came to LA, joined the police force, and quickly rose to captain of the vice squad during the Prohibition era. He began to fall into a life of crime, taking hush money, and eventually he quit the force so he could make more money in the life of crime and joined one of LA's top crime syndicates. In the 30s, he owned a Clover Club, a nightclub and illegal casino on the Sunset Boulevard, aka the Sunset Strip. And when mob boss Charles Crawford died in 1931, Mcafee took control of the syndicate, which contained some of the biggest power brokers in LA at the time. And Mcafee had his hands in everything from politics, gambling, and prostitution. And while things were going smoothly for him up until 1938, things started to slowly take a turn when city voters recalled syndicate-friendly mayor Frank Shaw and voted in Superior Court Judge Fletcher Beauron as a reforming mayor to put a stop to pervasive vice rackets. Mcafee, knowing his time was up, decided to pack ship and head to Las Vegas with his then wife, who he would then divorce in 1941. True story. Once in Las Vegas, in 1939, he bought the small Paradise Casino and Auto Park on Highway 91 outside Las Vegas. His wife, June, recalled years later that he jokingly almost called the barren highway the Strip after the Sunset Strip, believing correctly that other casinos would eventually locate there, and at the same time he invested in the downtown area, buying a 2-story building on Fremont Street, and in 1941 he sold the 91 Club and purchased the Fremont and the Pioneer Casino as well. By 1945, with El Ranchero and Last Frontier taking over the former Paradise Casino, Mcafee announced that he was ready to build his dream property, Golden Nugget. Along with investors Buck Blaine, he called it the Golden Nugget Saloon. Located at Fremont and First Streets, the site of the pool hall, cafe, and a former drug store. For its interior, McAfee demanded fixtures 50 years or older, opting for a Victorian carved wood and marble imported from Italy, fashioned a decor based on the original Golden Nugget bar in San Francisco's Barbary Coast during the Comstock Silver Rush eras of the mid-19th century. Interesting side note, at the same time as the opening of the Golden Nugget, McAfee's former associates Billy Wilkerson and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel were creating and constructing what would be known as the famous Flamingo, several miles down the strip on South Highway 91. Upon opening of the Golden Nugget, about 20,000 people were invited to the grand opening, and McAfee touted the place beyond Las Vegas as the largest casino in the world. He permitted the Nuggets dealers to deal no-limit games to gamblers until the 1950s. Meanwhile, McAfee was playing a pretty high-stakes game himself. His own gamble paid off, and by the late 1950s, the casino was a success, reflecting in a 100-foot-high neon sign toppled with gleaming neon gold nuggets. Now, McAfee could proudly declare himself and its casinos to be the brightest night spot in the world. Accordingly, this part of Freemont Street became known as Glitter Gulch. Then in the early 1950s, McAfee decided to convert the Golden Nugget into a public corporation. With himself as the president and with his partners Jake Kolzoff and Belden Cattleman, he bought the Frontier Hotel for $5.5 million. In 1960, McAfee finally retired and died at Las Vegas a year later. The Golden Nugget continued to achieve great success even after McAfee's death, turning in profits year after year through the rest of the 1960s. So we'll fast forward now to 1972, and guess who? Steve Wynn, a local real estate investor at the time and former slot supervisor at the Frontier, buy a controlling stake in the Golden Nugget, and 2 years later he became the company's board member and its executive vice president. Renovations began starting at $2 million, and then in 1977, Wynn opened the casino's first hotel tower. Later that year, the new hotel was the first resort awarded a 4-diamond rating by Mobile Travel Guide. And in 1982, Wynn announced another renovation and convinced famed singer Frank Sinatra, known for his performances at major strip hotels, to perform downtown at the Golden Nugget. In 1984, Sinatra and country music singer Willie Nelson starred in the hotel's new theater ballroom. The hotel also opened its spa tower, where each room is a suite. Wynn appeared with Sinatra in national televised commercials for the casino, and in 1989, the hotel's South Tower opened. Wynn's involvement with the Nugget ended in 2000 after Kirk Kerkorian's MGM bought the property, along with Wynn's other Mirage Resort casinos. It changed hands again in 2003 when Poster Financial Group acquired the property, owned by Timothy Poster and Thomas Breitling. When Poster Financial assumed control of the Nugget, they began to upgrade the gambling, operated by installing new cashless slot machines and by increasing the maximum bet available at table games to $15,000. Their story became the basis for The Casino, a television series on Fox that premiered in June of 2004. Finally, in 2005, when the restaurant chain Lowry's Incorporated took over, they renovated the place twice, adding 500 rooms, and in December of 2007, the Golden Nugget completed its $70 million Phase 2 project, which expanded resorts west onto First Street and introduced additional entertainment and events and dining venues. Phase 3, the opening of a 500-room, $150 million Rush Tower, was completed on November 2009, along with the Chart House. These days, the Golden Nugget is a full-fledged resort. Visitors can gamble the 38,000 square foot casino, choose among a number of dining establishments, relax at one of several bars, and go on a shopping spree, or make use of the business facilities and convention centers. There's even a 3-story pool complex with waterfalls, a slide that overlooks an actual shark tank, home are several shark species, and of course, there's always an excellent show to attend. So my thoughts on the Golden Nugget, I'm going to leave this for a bonus episode because I really felt just looking over the resource, there's a lot of good stuff here. And it was a nice little deep dive. And at the same time, I was really happy with it. But Jay and I are going to be back for a bonus episode. My overall thoughts of the Golden Nugget. I love it. When I'm there, I'm downtown hanging out. Chart House is one of my favorite restaurants. Love Vic and Anthony's Steakhouse. The pool is beyond belief, and probably that's one of the places in Las Vegas that I spent the most time at the pool because I'm really not a pool guy. I like the rooms, and we'll talk about that more on the bonus episode. The only thing I don't like is the comps on the drinks. The odds are not the greatest compared to other downtown places. In fact, they're pretty much just basically strip odds, so I don't really gamble there much. But there's also some really nice restaurants and other things. So overall, I like it. It's a cool place to go just because it's a good look at history, and it's a really well done. So if you haven't checked out the Golden Nugget, definitely go check it out. So there you go, an amazing story of the Golden Nugget, and I hope you enjoyed it. I have included my references for this episode in the description below, so please go check out those links. There's some really good stuff in there. So that's it for our show today. Make sure to hit that like button, and if you'd like the show, please leave a comment, or even better, click subscribe. And again, I'm on social media, on Twitter. That's probably where I'm at the most, at Vegas_KA, and on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin' Vegas All Day with KA. And don't forget to listen to us on Apple and Spotify podcast platforms as well. And if you want to tell me about your time at Golden Nugget and your thoughts, please leave a comment. Both Jay and I would love to hear from you. And don't forget about our question of the day as well. And that's all the time we have for today. And we'll see you next time on Talkin' Vegas All Day with KA.